And it's important to understand that Socrates is explicit that Gorgias's rhetoric is not dialectical. And that's to say that it does not proceed through a working out of the logic or the coherence of whatever the beliefs or the premises of the interlocutors are. Rather, it aims at immediately persuading those who are listening into believing or trusting, and the Greek word being translated for persuading throughout is pistis, which means trust. But Gorgias's art of speech, his technology, aims at immediately gaining the trust of whoever's listening that what is being said is simply true, that it is trustworthy. In fact, Gorgias has no interlocutors. He only has mere listeners who are to be manipulated by flattering their beliefs. Namely, both are entirely instrumental in satisfying desires without questioning those desires in any way whatsoever. Both conceptions of technology are entirely servile to will and appetite. And just continuing a little bit, in demanding what Gorgias means by persuasion, Gorgias goes on to say that he specifically has persuasion in law courts and in other mobs, and about those things that are just and unjust. And so we see that rhetoric, according to Gorgias, which is to say Gorgias's art of speeches, his technology, is fundamentally political. And continuing even further, Socrates gets Gorgias to admit that rhetoric, as Gorgias understands it, is the product or the work of a craftsman, an artisan, which inspires belief, which is to say that he is persuasive only because he doesn't actually teach anything, just inspires belief. In contrast to this, what Socrates says of Gorgias's understanding of rhetoric is that it's not what he, Socrates, refers to as rhetoric. In fact, it's a certain business that is not one of the fine ones. In other words, it's a thing, a progma, not an art or a techne, and it's not even beautiful. Socrates says it's not even a pursuit of art, of techne. Instead, it's a kind of experience or routine, a knack of knowing what people want to hear and saying it in a way that pleases them. So it has no purchase on true knowledge, or we could say insight into the nature or the being of things. And to the extent that it's fundamentally a political thing, Socrates says that it is a phantom of a part of politics. Now, there's much more to rhetoric, and also and especially to sophistry, than what I've covered so far. And the issue of sophistry is particularly interesting because of the dialogue The Sophist, which is to say the middle dialogue in the trilogy of the dialogues Theaetetus, The Sophist, and The Statesman. I always encourage people to look into the writings of Alex Priot on that topic because he's doing such great work on Plato's trilogy among a number of dialogues.